The year is 59 BC. A crowd gathers in the Roman Senate, all eyes on the brilliant young Julius Caesar. They can be charismatic leaders like Hitler, powerful kings like Duncan, or seemingly ordinary citizens like Tilly. However, sometimes the most dangerous weapons aren't guns, knives, or even bombs. To understand the allure of the poison ring, we must delve into the social and political climate of ancient Rome. Led by the charismatic Lucius Sergius Catiline, this group of senators plotted to overthrow the Roman government and seize control of the empire. While daggers and swords were common weapons of assassination, they were quite obvious. Poison rings, however, were much more discreet. A poisoner could easily disguise himself as an ordinary citizen and slip a ring into his victim's drink without anyone suspecting a thing. Agrippina, the younger, the wife of the Roman Emperor Nero, was known to carry a poison ring, although hers was more of a precaution than a tool of assassination. If not handled properly, the poison could leak out of the ring, or the wearer could accidentally poison themselves. For example, one Roman senator, Marcus Junius Brutus, was known to have accidentally poisoned himself during a dinner party. As the empire expanded, so did the number of people who wanted a piece of the action. They took with them the art of deception and the tools of silent, discreet killing. Poison rings became a dark reflection of Rome's expansionist ambitions, a tool to eliminate those who stood in the way of their progress. And as long as ambition and paranoia continued to grip the hearts of men, poison rings remained a popular choice for those who valued power above all else. Senators and influential figures became targets, and poison rings became a necessary tool for. It wasn't just about eliminating enemies anymore. These small yet deadly accessories played a significant role in the lives of some of ancient Rome's most influential citizens. From Julius Caesar to Cleopatra, poison rings were not just tools of murder, but symbols of power, paranoia, and the lengths to which people would go to survive in a world of betrayal and intrigue. As we continue to explore the mysteries of ancient Rome, poison rings serve as a reminder of the complexity of human nature and the dark side of human ambition. It was about protecting oneself from an ever-growing list of potential threats. Recent studies have revealed the presence of poison rings in Pompeii, suggesting that these artifacts were not just limited to the elite classes of Rome, but were present throughout the empire. As our understanding of Roman culture grows, so does our fascination with these deadly accessories. The use of poison rings during the late Roman Republic and early imperial periods reflects a society in decline, a society where trust had eroded, and the only way to survive was to be prepared for the worst. His wife, Portia Catonis, had given him a ring to protect him from assassins, but Brutus ended up poisoning himself instead. Such mishaps highlighted the danger of relying on poison rings, and served as a reminder to their users that while these rings offered convenience and discretion, they also demanded care and precision. As the Roman Empire grew more stable and the threat of assassination decreased, so did the demand for such dangerous accessories. However, the legacy of the poison ring lives on, in literature and film. From Shakespeare's Macbeth to modern thrillers, the image of the poison ring has become synonymous with murder and intrigue. Agrippina was a shrewd and ambitious woman who had already outlived a husband. When she married Nero, she quickly became his sole advisor, controlling both the empire and the young emperor. These intricate pieces of jewelry remind us of a time when trust was a rare commodity and survival depended on one's ability to adapt and deceive. They teach us about the lengths to which people will go to protect themselves and their loved ones, and they serve as a warning about the dangers of unchecked ambition and the corrosive effects of power. However, as Nero grew older, he became increasingly dependent on his advisors and distanced himself from his mother. Fearing that he might try to get rid of her, Agrippina took matters into her own hands. She poisoned Nero, ending his life and securing her position of power. Once the poison was administered, there was no antidote. The victim would suffer a horrible death, often mistaken for a sudden illness. The Roman dictator was assassinated on the Ides of March, stabbed more than 20 times by members of the Roman Senate. One of his assassins, Tillius Cimber, supposedly used a ring to deliver the fatal blow that sent Caesar collapsing to the ground. According to Plutarch's Life of Caesar, Cimber approached Caesar under the pretense of asking for his wife's release from exile. When Caesar agreed, Cimber plunged a dagger into his back. Some accounts say that Cimber's ring held a small amount of poison, adding to Caesar's demise. While historical records are hazy on the details of Caesar's assassination, one thing is certain: poison rings played a significant role in the fall of one of Rome's most powerful rulers. This made poison rings the perfect tool for eliminating rivals, silencing enemies, and consolidating power. When the plot was uncovered, Catiline and his followers fled Rome, pursued by the ruthless Roman statesman Cicero. Cicero spared no expense in hunting down the conspirators. Known for her intelligence and cunning, Cleopatra was renowned for using poison rings not only to defend herself, but also to manipulate others. She famously used a ring to kill her lover, Roman general Mark Antony, after he had fallen out of favor with Octavian, Cleopatra's ultimate rival for control of the Egyptian throne. According to Plutarch's Life of Antony, she sent a ring containing a deadly poison to Antony's wife, Octavia, who then used it to kill him. This tale showcases how poison rings were not only tools of murder, but also of deceit and strategy in the battle for power. And when he got his hands on them, he used every tool at his disposal, including poison. Rumor has it that Cicero dispatched a ring of poison to Catiline's mistress, Porcia, who ended her life rather than face capture. Such was the lengths to which these men would go to maintain power and protect their interests. For centuries, Rome had been expanding its empire across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. This rapid growth brought unprecedented wealth and power to the Roman elites, but it also created a culture of paranoia and backstabbing. Senators, generals, and even emperors lived in constant fear of assassination. Betrayal was common, and maintaining power often required ruthless tactics. Sometimes they're much smaller, easier to hide, and can go undetected for centuries. Welcome to my channel. Today we explore the real story behind the most deadly assassin's weapon. Suddenly Tilius Cimber approaches him, a humble supplicant begging for mercy for his brother, who has been exiled by Caesar. But in the world of ancient Rome, some of the deadliest weapons were far more subtle. Among the elite classes of Roman society, a new fashion trend emerged: poison rings. These intricately designed gold or silver rings had a secret compartment where a small dose of deadly poison could be kept. This allowed users to deliver a precise and discreet dose of poison with just a flick of the finger. They could slip a drop into someone's drink, smear it on food, or even use it to end their own lives if captured. But as he reaches out to touch Caesar's robe, Cimber drops to his knees. In horror, he has plunged a dagger into the great man's chest. Caesar collapses. As the crowd reels in shock, Cimber draws back his hand, revealing an elegant gold ring on his finger. With one final twist, he flicks a small amount of blood from the blade onto the ground. He then calmly stands up, wipes off the dagger, and walks away, leaving Caesar to die, surrounded by the murmurs of the crowd and the bright red stain spreading on the marble floor. We know today that assassins aren't always what they seem. When we think of legendary killers, we usually imagine them wielding swords, guns, or other obvious weapons. But why did these fashionable Romans turn to such extreme measures? Take, for instance, the infamous Catiline conspiracy. These rings became so popular because they provided a unique advantage in this treacherous game. Among the most famous users of poison rings was none other than Cleopatra, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic kingdom of Egypt. However, Cleopatra was not the only powerful woman to use poison rings. Despite their popularity, poison rings were not without their drawbacks. But perhaps the most famous poison ring in Roman history belongs to none other than Julius Caesar. The story of Caesar's assassination highlights the growing paranoia and instability within the Roman elite. As Rome's influence spread across the Mediterranean, its citizens carried more than just trade goods and military might. Over time, the popularity of poison rings began to fade. Today, historians and archaeologists continue to uncover new details about the world of Roman poison rings. So, what can we learn from the world of Roman poison rings? In conclusion, the world of Roman poison rings is a fascinating and deadly one.